Hi, I want to talk about things that are unpleasant. I want to talk about things that I don't like. I've been catcalled. That's what I'd like to talk about. I find it a little funny. But it's bad. Bad things. Bad things, guys. Well, one of the worst, times I've been catcalled was when I was 13. And that fact alone that's most of the reason why it was the worst, because I was 13. Like, that's so young, that's weird. That sucks. So, I was going to the store, like the little store near my house. It's like a convenience store. It's kind of like a gas station, but without the gas, you know what I mean? There's probably a word for that, I think, bodega. Bodega. It's like a bodega. So, I was going over there, and, like, there was this guy in the parking lot, and he was just standing outside of his car. He was just talking to me, and he was like, hey, uh, uh, like, can I buy you anything? Can I buy you a nice cold soda? Or whatever. Like, it was weird the way he was describing it, like, as if, like, oh, an ice cold soda, or a delicious packaged chips, or whatever. Like, it almost felt like a commercial, the way he was describing the food. Like, it was weird. And, I was like, no, thank you, that's fine. And I went inside, and I got my food, and then I came out, and he kept talking to me, and I was like, not interested. I wasn't showing any interest, but I was also being very polite because, like, due to being a little kid and, like, not being used to, like, talking to adults in any kind of certain way, like, I just, the way everyone told me to be is that you have to be polite around adults, you have to be polite around them, and, also, like, I felt uncomfortable to even acknowledge the fact that he was, like, interacting with me in a way that was, like, anything other than platonic, if that makes sense. Like, I didn't want to acknowledge the fact that there were, like, sexual undertones to his intentions, I didn't even want to acknowledge it. So, like, when I finally told him, see, this is what happens. After he picked up on the fact that I wasn't interested in stuff and that I wanted to just go home, he was like, oh, it's because I'm black, isn't it? Because he was a black guy. And I was like, no, it's because I'm 13. It's because I'm 13. And he was like, why didn't you tell me? And, like, I was like, I don't know. But the reason why I didn't tell him was because I didn't want to acknowledge the fact that that was relevant information. Like, I didn't want to confront the fact that he was coming on to me and trying to, like, set up something like that between us, that I should have to tell him my age. I was so uncomfortable with that fact that I was almost in denial of it. I was like, no, this is just some guy who's being nice. Even though, deep down, I knew what was up. I was, like, forcing that reality out of my brain. And, but eventually, obviously, I had to confront it, after he accused me of being racist. Which, like, that's weird to do. And, like, yeah, well, he did apologize a bit, but, like, another reason why I didn't want to tell him my age was because part of me was like, what if he doesn't even care? Like, what if he's gonna be like, oh, age is just a number, who gives a shit, like, age is just a number, I still think you're attractive, so, yeah. And, recently a lot of people have done this to me, where they've, like, strangers on the street have, like, flirted with me and stuff. Like, just in the last few weeks. Because I do go out a lot alone. Like, I walk by myself alone, and it's like, you know, yeah, and it's a lot more uncomfortable now because, like, I've fully, like, I'm fully living a non-binary life, and, I identify as non-binary, and I don't really want to be perceived as a girl, and so, like, when I'm experiencing misogyny and misgendering at the same time, bro, it's so uncomfortable. It's so uncomfortable. You know? Um, like, I don't want to be sexualized in a feminine way. Um, it's really uncomfortable for me. Uh, and like, let's see, yeah, like recently the other day or whatever, I was walking home from the store and some guy was like, what did he say to me? I think he was like, I'm trying to see what your name is, and I'm like, why do you need to know that? And he's like, he paused for a second, then he was like, how old are you? And I was like, 17. And he was like, when do you turn 18? And I was like, I can't tell you that. And he was like, oh, you're a really nice girl and whatever, and he walked away. Just repeating the fact that he called me a girl makes me uncomfortable. Just, like, saying that sentence in regard to myself feels wrong. It really does. Like, yeah. I'm not a guy, by the way. I'm not a boy, but I am non-binary, very, very sincerely. I just want to get that clear and all that. Yeah, this guy who, like, he looked like he could be like late 20s, I would say. It's a little hard to tell. Because, like, frankly, I think that, and this was a black guy as well, and I think that black people age a lot better than people of other races, to be honest. Like, I'm not the only one who says that. Like, my mom agrees, a lot of my black friends agree, like, if we've talked about it before, it's, black people, they kind of, it's a little bit harder to tell how old they are, because they age better for some reason. It's probably a scientific thing. Like, it's probably having to do with the fact that since they have more melanin in their skin, they're less vulnerable to, like, UV rays and all that, like sunlight, which does cause skin damage. So they just don't get as wrinkly and stuff. They just have better skin because of the melanin. Like, that just makes sense, That's just logical sense right there. So that's probably why. But that's quite off topic, And of course, it's probably not universally true, but I just mean in general, So yeah, but this guy, this fella, this second guy, who was doing this to me, like, he did have a beard, so that does kind of age you a little bit. Like, that does make you look a little bit older than you initially would without a beard, in my opinion. Yeah, it does make you look older. The weird thing is, like, I don't get why people try to do that to me, because, like, I look young as hell, I really do. Like, I'm small, And okay, and I'll just tell you some more stuff. So there was this one time when I was with my friend Weedy, I was probably, like, 12 or something, maybe 11, I don't know. I was a little kid. And, she was a little bit older than me. She might have been more like 13 or something. 14, I don't know. But we were just walking to the store, And it was not the store by my house, it was like one that was a little bit farther away. That's not important, but yeah. And we were walking by this like oil change place, you know, them oil change places. And this fella comes up to us and he's like, "Hey, my friend wants to meet y'all. He wants to like get your numbers or some shit, you know?" And we kind of giggled, and like Weedy was too shy to even say anything. And I was like, "How old do you think we are?" And he was like, "Oh, y'all are young looking. Never mind." And he walked away. And like, it was interesting. That day I actually chose to wear mascara outside of the house. And so I felt certain ways about it because I was like, I mean, I was actually, and do not, I hesitate to even say this because some people are going to get the wrong idea from this. Do not get the wrong idea from this. But as a little kid who is not smart, who is not fucking smart, I felt a little bit flattered that I got male attention for wearing makeup. And that does not mean you should go around flirting with little girls. Okay? Or people you perceive as girls. Do not go around flirting with underage people when you're not underage, is all I'm trying to say. Don't do that. Okay? I did feel kind of flattered, and so did Weedy. But I was also uncomfortable at the same time. I definitely was uncomfortable by this situation. And so was Weedy. We were both really bothered by this. And like, yeah, it was like fucking awkward, man. It was awkward as hell. Yeah. So how about another recent one? So, I was like walking to Dollar Tree, this was just a few days ago, I was walking to Dollar Tree, and a homeless guy, I know he was homeless because he later like asked me for money and stuff, and like, okay, so like he had a bike with him, and he was just sitting there like on the sidewalk, like sitting on the curb on the side of the sidewalk, not like the curb, like it's like this wall, actually, like a sort of like a cement wall that's like it goes around the perimeter of the Dollar Tree. So he was sitting there. I was walking and like he just started talking to me and he was like, "Are you a model?" And at first I thought he asked if I was a mom, and I was like, "No, I'm only 17." And he's like, "Oh, 'cause you're beautiful," or something like that. And I was like, "Oh, you asked if I was a model." And he's like, "Yeah, you know." And he just kept going on about how pretty I was, and like, he wouldn't stop talking to me. Like, I kept trying to kind of be friendly but walk away, and he kept stopping me and being like, wait, you know, and like at one point he asked me if I was on the street, meaning, you know, if I was homeless, because I was dressed a little scruffy at the time, as I often do, you know. This isn't the first time I've been mistaken for a homeless person, by the way, but that's a story for another day. I kind of take it as a compliment, you know, as a punk and all that, as a punker, as a little punk rocker, it feels kind of cool to be mistaken for a homeless person. Not to fetishize the experience, not to like romanticize the actual homeless experience, man. That's not the idea. But the fact that my look is giving homeless, hey, I mean, that's a little cool. That's a little cool, man. You know, you know. I don't know, maybe it's not. Maybe I'm still being offensive as hell. I'm sorry. I'm very sorry. No, I am. I'm very sorry. I don't want to fucking disrespect the homeless. Like, that's the last thing I want to do. They have it bad enough as is. But, yeah. That being said, I will gladly disrespect this one particular individual homeless man because he was being creepy. I told him I was only 17 and he still wouldn't stop talking to me in that kind of way. And, like, he was like, where are you going? I was like, I'm going to Dollar Tree. And he's like, oh, when you come back out, will you give me some money? I was like, yeah, sure. I didn't give him any money. Maybe I would have if he wasn't being a creep, you know? I also just don't have much money. You know? Yeah, I just went to another store after that. And, yeah. Those are the most, like, noteworthy, memorable examples that I can think of off of the top of my head at the moment. But there have, without a doubt, been other times. Like, it's like, there's so many times that it kind of becomes a little bit of a blur. Yeah. Uh, please God, if there's one thing to take away from this, just please God, do not take away the fact, don't get out of this with the idea in your head that, like, you should talk to people in that way because they might take it as a compliment. Like, I think I only took that one instance as a compliment as a little kid because I was a little kid. Like, I was kind of dumb and I was insecure. I was insecure. And so therefore, like, I was desperate for compliments and things like that. I was insecure about my appearance in particular because I was chubby and stuff, and like I was very much insecure about that. So anyway, like, don't do this. Don't do this to people, man. Just leave people alone. Leave people alone, please. And yeah. Goodbye now. Bye-bye.